Over the last few months at Energist UK, we've been hosting webinars and seminars looking at Part L 2013 changes. Through this, we've been given several frequently asked questions, and some of those we're going to go over for you in this short video. Now, the idea of creating a generic set of construction details was on the cards for the government, and they wanted to release these and make it quite simple for anyone to tap in and use them. But that's been shelved. It was decided it wasn't going to work as effectively as they were initially hoping. But what we have noticed is that several insulation manufacturers and block manufacturers have started to release their own SI values and their own junction details. So what we're recommending you do, if you use a particular supplier of blocks or insulation, it's worth asking them if they have their own thermal bridging details which you can use on your site, because we're finding that quite a lot of these details are better than the accredited construction detail standard, and that means you'll get better SAP results and potentially better EPC ratings as well. Well, until the beta SBEM software is released, it's very difficult for us to say. Until we get the software and actually play with it, we're not sure how much of an impact these various changes are going to make. What we do know is that it's not going to be impossible to use natural ventilation. The fact you're not using heat recovery in a commercial building will have a detrimental effect to the overall SBEM assessment, but it shouldn't be too significant. You should be able to make up enough changes with better lighting controls, better heating systems and better insulation levels to compensate for that. But we should be able to give you more of an answer in the coming months. Yes, the new methodology for SAP and for SBEM will apply come April for calculations using extensions and conversions, etc. But it's important to remember with L1B that the target emission rate, the target fabric energy efficiency and the requirement for air leakage testing, none of those will apply. L1B is not really seeing much of an upgrade come April, although we're using new methodology. The targets and the method for us showing compliance with Part L1B and Part L2B isn't really changing, so it's unlikely, if you purely deal with extensions and conversions, you're unlikely to see too much of an impact when the changes happen in April. The target emission rate is going to remain, so you'll still have your DER and your TER to comply with. The Duffy and the Tuffy is a new introduction, so what's going to happen come April is that you're going to have two separate targets and you need to meet both of them. So you'll have your target fabric energy efficiency, which is the new one, and you'll also have the target emission rate, so you need to comply with both in order to make sure your dwelling is Part L compliant. It's perfectly feasible that if you've got a house with a lot of insulation and a poor heating system, that you will potentially show compliance with one target and not the other. But you need to make sure you've got good insulation levels and good heating systems, good ventilation systems across the board, and that way you should be able to show compliance with both the target emission rate and the target fabric energy efficiency. At the moment, the Housing Standards Review has made several recommendations which has been put out for a further review. There is talk in there about quite a lot of elements in the code not being necessary or not really being of benefit when you consider how many changes are being made to Part L. Quite a lot of what currently is asked for in code is becoming integrated within Part L to some extent. So there is quite a lot of debate about whether the code in its current form is still valid and is going to continue. There are three camps of thought really. One of them is that the code will be abolished completely, phased out. That's not been confirmed, nothing has been confirmed yet. Another option that could potentially be on the table is that code is redrafted and rewritten, maybe simplified, and the requirements for getting credits made a bit more stringent, so it continues to be that one step beyond building regulations. The third train of thought is that code stays as it is, but I don't think there's really much scope in code existing if that is the case. But until we get some definite decisions from the Housing Standards Review and the associated government departments who are looking into the future of the code, unfortunately we don't have a definite answer for you. We'll be continuing to host seminars and webinars looking at the Part L changes in the new year, and we're hoping by then the beta software will be released so we can do some live performance of the software just to try your own specification and show you how well you'll be performing when the regulations change in April. So keep an eye on energysuk.co.uk for dates and further updates.